Hello YouTube, this is Alex with Squeaky's Reef again, and today I've just got a short video. I'm going to be going over how I did my plumbing for my 120-gallon reef tank. One thing that surprised me, having never done any reef plumbing before, was how little of the tools I needed that I was going to be able to get at Lowe's. You know, I got like these elbows and the unions at Lowe's, but I had to get all of my bulkheads online, all of my check, ball, and gate valves came online, and the lock line came online too. I got the lock line from BRS, and I got all the valves from either Amazon or on eBay. I found the best deal on ball valves and the gate valve on eBay. And all that colored PVC I got on BRS too. I think it was like $13 for about 4 feet of it, 46 inches I believe. Now, it was a big project, so I guess I just decided that I was going to start from the top down. So the first thing I installed was the lock line, and I bought a pair of lock line pliers, but the only thing that I could get them to do was shoot a piece of lock line 30 feet across my living room. I couldn't get them to work. It might have been user error, I don't know, but I could just push everything together and it worked. So originally this aquarium came with 6 bulkheads, but I replaced all the bulkheads, but then I decided to plug the 3 on the right hand side up and use the 3 on the left to set up a bean animal, with my full siphon on the left there with a screen in front, my partial siphon in the middle, which should just be set to a trickle, which will also set the water line of my overflow box, and my emergency on the right that should only be used if both others are clogged. So I bought 2 little 6-inch clamps so I could hold the overflow box against the back wall while I was doing the silicone. But this silicone was still a nightmare. I didn't love doing it in the sump, but working with the limited space to silicone the bottom of this and the left-hand side between the glass, it was hard, and it definitely didn't look clean. And I went through a little bit later and I touched it up with a razor blade, but it still was not my cleanest looking silicone job of the build. Now, I'd already seen a bunch of videos on how to do the actual PVC gluing. You know, you're going to measure, you're going to cut, and you're going to clean up the burrs around the edge with a piece of sandpaper, and then primer and glue. Originally, I decided I was going to go with the miter box, but that was an awful idea, and by the end of the first cut, I had somebody pick me up some PVC cutters from the store because the miter box sucks. Now, I had some washable marker that I could mark the yellow pipe with, but obviously you can't mark the black pipe with anything, so I got a piece of painter's tape and I taped it around the place that I wanted to cut to act as a marker for me. You know, I knew that this was going to be an expensive hobby when I was getting started, and I thought I had a pretty good budget set out for myself, but it's the hidden costs that you don't expect. It's the PVC cutters and the clear primer and the tape and the ball valves. It's all of these things that I just didn't know that I was going to need. The hole saw that end up really adding up and have really, driven my budget a little bit higher than I was hoping for. Now, if I was going to do this again, I would not dry fit my plumbing. I would just measure twice, measure 3 times, so I knew I had a really good measurement, and then I would just trust that measurement and go ahead and primer and glue, and this is the reason why. All of my unions didn't slide snugly all the way into the fittings. All of the other fittings did, but for some reason the unions are more tight, so when I dry fitted it, they weren't sliding all the way in, and when I did glue everything down, I had a few sizable gaps. In some places it was okay and it didn't make a difference, but on my return pipe on the left-hand side, I had what was about a 3/4 inch gap from the differences in these fittings that I had to go fix. It's also important to remember that part of the drying process for the PVC primer and glue is going to push the PVC pipe back out of the joint you're trying to hold it in. So it's important to hold it snugly in for about 30 seconds to make sure that it dries properly. So I went back to the hardware store and I got a couple of couplings. I couldn't find schedule 80, so I got schedule 40 and then I painted them black. And I sandwiched a piece of pipe in the middle, and I think it looks okay. You know, it's on the back of my tank. I don't think you'll really be able to notice it unless you're looking for it. And just by the way it looked, I was pretty happy with it after this, man. You know, I'm definitely glad that I decided to hard plumb it instead of running, like braided tubing. It just looks way nicer. It was another fun extension of this hobby for me. I learned a little bit. I made some mistakes. I would do it differently next time, but that's just life. I didn't want to plumb a manifold, but I left this ball valve here so that if I want to add something later, I can still add something. And then it was time to test fill the tank. Obviously, this was a nervous moment for me, and because I'm on well water, and we had to fill it with my garden hose, so the water didn't come through my water softener, and it just reeked up my whole house like fart. It's so gross. but I was pleased to learn that I didn't have any leaks at all, which I was, pretty proud of actually. I bought a 2-inch hole saw and grommet kit that I could use to cut through this control board, and then I had a lot of hard water deposits on the front of this tank. So I got some Barkeeper's Friend and alternating between that and hot vinegar and just scrubbing the crap out of it, I got it pretty clean. But I had to go back and forth. I probably did them both 3 times, and I had to put a lot of elbow grease into it, and it's not perfect. There's definitely still some water deposits on the glass, but when the water's in it, you can't really tell, and I'm happy enough with it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week with my aquascape video.